Well, hello, my good faithful YouTube viewers and listeners. It is the Jer Bear. Today's date is Sunday, October 30th, 2022. Thank you for stopping by and indulging me for a little while. I know it's been a while since I recorded a daily rant recording. I promise I have not forgotten about you. I have not been ignoring anybody, obviously. I've just been really busy. I've been under the weather and fighting off sinus infections and all that shit. If you've been watching my Sunday video updates, you're probably staying abreast of what's going on in my life. But this daily rant is nothing to do with me or my life, but something that happened last night. And I also want to preface this by saying that I am not in any way a sports aficionado. I don't watch football, basketball, baseball, hockey, tennis. I'm not a sports guy. I don't watch the stuff, okay? Well, last night in Ann Arbor was the MSU and Spartans football game. They had it in Ann Arbor at Michigan Stadium. And my dad likes to watch the game. Every time we have a rivalry game, my dad's always watching because he roots for the Spartans. Amy, she roots for the Wolverines. And I'm just don't give a fuck because I couldn't care less who wins. But something happened last night after the game, and I'm kind of disgusted by this because I would expect better from grown men. Maybe I'm just, in over my head on this. But I had found an article on Facebook, and when I clicked it, it redirected me to an actual article. It was published by some, I wouldn't say underground news publisher, but it's on the internet nonetheless. And by what I understood, a fight had ensued. There was an altercation between Spartan players and Wolverine players inside the tunnel. By what I understand, it might have been just a single fight. It might have been several men on one person. I really don't know the specifics, but I know that by what I read, there was a fight that had broken out in the tunnel. Now, Spartans lost to the Wolverines, okay? So the score was 29-7. Wolverines took it. They took home the, I guess it's the Paul Bunyan Trophy. I guess it's a big deal in football. Like I said, I am totally fucking oblivious to football. And I don't know who the players are. I don't know who the coaches are. I don't know the positions of the players. I don't know the stats of the players. I don't know where the players are from. I don't know, who does jumping jacks and who is knitting mittens. I have no fucking clue who does what on these teams. I couldn't care less. But the thing that really caught my attention about this particular instance is the fact that sportsmanship has gone out the fucking window in 2022. It's kind of disappointing, to say the very least. I look at it as, okay, it's just a football game. I know there's lots of people, especially my friends on Facebook, lots of people on Facebook, they get so emotionally attached to football teams and games, and they want certain teams to win. And even in the cities, like they have riots breaking out, they burn couches, overturn vehicles, and the police have to come in and use tear gas, and they bring the posse in with the horses and all that shit. It's a monstrosity. But I know people who get so emotionally attached to football. I think it's kind of pathetic. But, some people they are big fans of particular teams and they like to sport the colors. They wear the jerseys. I don't know. Some people are just obsessed so much to the point where they, engage in this kind of, fanfare with these football teams and such. But anyway, I'm really disgusted by something I had read on the internet involving these players who engaged in physical altercation inside the tunnel at Michigan Stadium. Now, okay, so your team lost. You know what? Suck it up, pack your shit, go home, lick your wounds, and wake up tomorrow and start again. Is it really that hard? Has sportsmanship really gone out the fucking window in 2022? It's kind of disgusting to me. Actually, no kind of about it. It is disgusting. And this has nothing to do with, the kids might be watching. You know what? It's not the jobs of these football players or the teams or anything like that. It's not the job of athletes to be role models for children. It's the parents' job to teach their kids the value of sportsmanship. It's not up to these, athletes, people who are football players and wrestlers and, basketball players and all that shit. It's not up to them. It's up to the parents. So I'm not even going to go down that. I'm not going to entertain that at all. But sportsmanship really is important. It's really important. I'm really just, I'm amazed at the behavior and the tenacity of grown people. I mean, so you lost a game, okay? It happens. That is the heat of competition. If you can't take the heat, stay out the motherfucking kitchen, as they say. Grown people should know better. Why do they behave like this? I mean, they do this shit at hockey games. You see the hockey players, they shove each other, they knock each other into the walls or whatever. They literally ram them into the walls. And then the next thing you know, they're swinging fists at each other. It's stupid. And I understand that most of you listening to this are thinking, well, I paid my hard money ticket. I paid my dues to get this ticket. It's a hard money ticket. If they want to duke it out on the ice, so be it. I paid good money for the ticket. I want my money's worth. Okay. But, it's very poor sportsmanship to engage in physical altercation. You don't have to like each other, but come on. Be professional in what you do. You're on a team, like football. You're on a fucking football team. Now, I don't know if, but I would imagine, I'm not sure, I can't say 100%, but I am almost certain that there's going to be suspensions, there's going to be fines, possibly maybe assault charges brought against some of these players. I don't know. I have not read anything, but I would assume that might be the case. Guys, this is just really, I don't know, it's disheartening. And it's disgraceful. So you lost a game. You know what? Shit happens. Tuck tail, go home, lick your fucking wounds, and start again tomorrow. Come back with a smile on your face and say, you know what? I tried my best. I didn't succeed in this, but I can always try again tomorrow. I can go back. I can train. I can do whatever it is I need to do. I can do all the athletic shit, Why do you have to actually beat the fuck out of your opponent? It's not the UFC, for Christ's sake. It's football. Grown men. They should know better. I mean, what a disgrace. What a disgrace to read something like that. I can only imagine that the coaches are just chewing their fucking asses right out after that. I bet that coach is embarrassed, to say the least. That coach has got to be absolutely fucking ashamed. Okay, so you train all season to go out there and give it your best. Okay, so you didn't succeed. Again, that's competition. There's got to be a winner, a victor, and there's got to be a loser. Okay, it happens. If competition, if losing, not so much the competition at hand, but if losing on its own merit, if that is enough to make you want to engage in physical confrontation with an opponent, then you shouldn't be on the fucking team. You shouldn't be on the field. You shouldn't be having anything to do with the team. I mean, Hungry Howie's is always hiring people. Get a job slicing pizzas, delivering pizzas. You have no business being on a fucking football field if you're going to behave that way. That's just awful. And it's not just football. I know that it's in other sports as well. Mainly football and hockey. I haven't seen maybe basketball. I've seen some, shoving and pushing in basketball a time or two, but it's really bad, like with football and hockey particularly. Grown men, I mean, grow up. You fucking know better. So you're on opposing teams and you don't get along. You got personal beef. You know what? Then take it up outside of the fucking, the team. Take it up outside of the game. So nobody has to see this shit. And I know, like I said, people who pay a hard money ticket to watch the event, well, we paid our monies. We're getting our money's worth. Let them duke it out if they want to duke it out. But that's not the sport. That's not the sport. And like I said, I'm not going to go down this avenue of, well, the kids might be watching. Again, if you do take your kids to events like that and the kids see it, which they most certainly see this shit going on, it's always the parents' responsibility to teach their children, you know what, that is not the right way to handle things. I don't ever want you to do what they're doing. Don't mimic that behavior. If you lose, you lose. You shake their hand and say, hey, it was a good game. I gave it my best. I didn't succeed, but that doesn't make me a failure. Failing is when you don't try at all. Then you are sure to fail if you don't try. But if you try and you don't succeed, you're not a failure. It doesn't define your character. It doesn't define who you are as an individual. It just means you didn't succeed. So you pick up and you try again tomorrow. You don't beat the fuck out of your opponent. That's not the way to handle things. And I can only imagine what people are saying listening to this. Oh, Jared, you're such a bleeding heart. No, it's not even that. It's just have enough common sense and gumption to say, you know what? I made a mistake. I shouldn't have put my hands on the guy. There's got to be consequences for my actions. Suck it up, go home, or, like I said, quit the team. Don't be involved in sports if it's going to bother you that much. I mean, for crying out loud, look at these little league teams out there. I don't know if you guys notice this, or if you have kids who are on local sports teams like little league baseball or football or whatever. A lot of the parents get so emotionally worked up if their kids fuck up, like if they make a mistake while they're playing the game. The parents get so emotionally involved, like they're living vicariously through their children, which I also think is a bunch of shit. But you see a lot of parents out there who are really, really taking it to heart. And it's like, you know what, they're just kids. This is a learning experience for them. They're either going to, learn from this experience or they're not. And if they decide that they don't want to be a part of a team anymore, you need to respect their decision and let them try something else. These kids have to also learn that if you try and you fail, that's not a summation of your character. It's okay to fail as long as you try, but that doesn't make you a failure. Again, being a failure means that you don't try at all. If you don't try at all, you are guaranteed to fail because you have not tried. I think kids need to learn that too. They don't really talk about that a lot. But it's gotten so entirely out of fucking hand. I really feel for, like I said, I really feel for especially the coaches. I mean, these coaches have got to be shitting. I mean, they got to be shitting their fucking pants. Like, who, this was not in the fucking handbook. This is not what we train for. You're making complete fools of yourselves out there, acting stupid and childish. That's a horrible reflection of the coach. A horrible reflection. I just can't imagine what's going through the minds of these coaches right now. They, like I said, they have got to be shitting their fucking pants. They've got to be. And I can almost guarantee anything right now, the city of Ann Arbor has got to be a total and complete hot mess right now. A hot fucking mess. I love Ann Arbor too. Ann Arbor is a beautiful city. But some people, like I said, some people really get emotionally attached to sports teams. I think it's silly. I mean, you see people who are Michigan fans, they paint half their face yellow, half their face blue. It's like, give me a fucking break. It's football. Come on. I can't see that. I can't see getting so worked up and so emotionally involved. Like you see grown men wearing jerseys of their favorite players. That's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of when you're an adult and you're worshipping football players and baseball players. Yeah, it's a little fucking weird to me. I don't know. A little weird. I don't know, maybe I just expect better. I mean, I can't see beating the fuck out of an opponent just because they won fair and square at a game, especially football. It's just football. I even wrote that on my Facebook. It's just a football game. Just relax, dude. Tomorrow's a new day. You're going to wake up tomorrow. You're going to lick your wounds. You're going to say, you know what? I tried. I didn't succeed. But there's always today. I got the rest of this day. I can go back to the training, the gyms or whatever. I can, get fit. I can exercise. Do all the things I need to do athletically to maintain my athleticism. And there's always next year. There's always next season. And it's okay to try and not succeed. It's okay to do that. But to actually engage in physical altercation with your opponent, it's obnoxious to me. I just never understood that. And people get so emotionally attached to their favorite sports teams. When I was a kid, I loved watching WWF, WCW. Most people say it's fake. Well, I will agree to an extent. Most of it is. Most of it is fake, and you can see it with your own two eyes. But even I liked Hulk Hogan. I liked, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage, Razor Ramon, Diesel, Big Boss Man, Junkyard Dog. I liked those people because they had a character. Okay? When Hulk Hogan joined the NWO, I didn't put my fucking foot through the TV screen. I think the whole world was in a bit of shock and dismay that Hulk Hogan became a heel. He's always been a face. He's always telling kids to take their vitamins and say their prayers, and he's always, encouraging children. He did a lot of work for charity. He's been in lots of movies, Hulk Hogan has. But when he turned heel, when he became one of the bad guys, and he, was talking shit to the audience, I mean, that was just, that was a game changer, because Hulk Hogan has never been the bad guy, ever. But that doesn't mean that, I'm going to put my fucking foot through the TV, or I'm going to throw my television set out to the end of the driveway. That's not going to change anything. It's part of the show. And while, maybe I shouldn't compare wrestling with football, because it's like comparing apples to oranges in a sense, football is real. All of it's real. Wrestling isn't. Not all of it. Some of it's real, but most of it's not. You have to admit. There's just so much about sports where people get so emotionally attached. Like, everything they do is because of this particular individual. Because of, this football player, he's a quarterback or a wide receiver or a linebacker, whatever position they have. Like I said, I'm not familiar with names. I'm not familiar with who the coaches are. I'm not familiar with stats. I'm not familiar with team positions. I don't know who the fuck these people are. All I know is that the white and green is Spartans. The maize and the blue, or gold and blue, yellow and blue, whatever fucking color it is Wolverines. That's all I know. The white and green is East Lansing. The blue and yellow is Ann Arbor, or maize, or whatever they call it. Okay, whatever. I don't watch football, but I know enough about it to know that I can differentiate the teams, Spartans from Wolverines. I mean, at some point, someone has to agree with me on this, I'm sure. The altercation, anytime you see football players getting in fistfights, or hockey players getting in fistfights because they got slammed into the wall, that's the fucking sport. That's the sport. You're trying to score points for your team. It's just like football. Yes, it's a rough sport. It's a contact sport. I never played sports. I can't stand sports. I don't like to be tackled and shoved, and, I don't like people putting their fucking hands on me. That's why I never got involved. My dad played sports in high school. He was on the football team. He ran track. He was even in wrestling in high school. For those of you who might be familiar with a guy named Dan the Beast Severn, well, before Dan the Beast Severn became famous with UFC and WWE and all that, my dad wrestled him in high school before he became famous. And a lot of people may not know that either, but now you do. And the Beast, I mean, he's built like a fucking mule. I mean, he's a big guy. He's not a little guy. He's built. I mean, he is really beefed up. And he's got his own training gym in Coldwater, down in Coldwater, Michigan. But my dad wrestled him in high school. And even when my dad lost, he still shook his hand and said, good match or whatever. They didn't fucking take it out back and fist fight each other. They shook hands and they said, you know what, that was good. Good competition there, buddy, And that's the way it should have been. When my dad was just telling me before I started recording this daily rant, my dad was telling me when he played the football team, the other members of the opposing team, they would hold their hand out so that way you can run along and give high fives as you're passing by. That's the way it should be. That's sportsmanship. You don't see that with grown adults. And I'm just sitting here wondering what the fuck happened to sportsmanship in 2022. No one has it anymore. Now, if you go to a Little League game, and if they have enough common courtesy and decency enough to know to shake your opponent's hand or to give high fives to your opponent, if they have that, more power to them. That's the way it should be. You should always, always, always congratulate the victor. If there's competition and you lose, you shake the winner's hand and you say congratulations. You put on a hell of a game. You put on a great competition. And that other person should say, I'm proud of you. You gave it your best shot. I'm proud of you. Let's go get a slice of pizza. Or, in the case of a grown-up, hey man, you did great. Let's go get a beer. Let's go get a beer and talk about this game. You never hear about that. You don't see it. And if you do, it's very rare. It's just very poor sportsmanship or lack thereof. It's gone out the fucking window. And it really is a shame. It's disgraceful, I don't know. Like I said, I don't watch sports. I'm not really a sportsy kind of a guy. When I watch the news basically just for the weather. I want to know how warm or cold it's going to be tomorrow. Which is why I watch, the news. And I kind of like to know what's going on in the area. But when it comes to sports, I just kind of tune it out because I really couldn't give a fuck less. When I was in school, never had school spirit, never went to any of the homecoming games or the homecoming parades or whatever. I just didn't give a shit. Never gave a fuck about it. Never had school spirit, especially in Chesaning. And now, and I know that this is really horrible for me to say, but I actually root for the opposing team. I want Chesaning to get fucking creamed. I want them to get absolutely fucking crushed into a fine motherfucking powder. I want them to lose. I don't know. I just don't care for sports, and the way the people are around here, I couldn't care less either. They just don't jive with me very well. But anyway, it's not about that. It's about sportsmanship and how it's been thrown out the window. I would just expect better, I guess. I don't know. Maybe my standards are a little too high for most people, but oh well. I just couldn't believe what I had read, I just couldn't believe it. It's like, really? Come on, Spartans. If the Wolverines would have pulled something like this, I'd be on here saying the same damn thing. Get your shit together, Sparties. You know what? Lick your fucking wounds. Go back home to East Lansing. Cry it out. Have a drink. Go to sleep. Wake up tomorrow. Start fresh. You don't put your fucking hands on somebody. Like I said, I don't know if there's actual assault charges being brought against the people involved in the altercation. I'm guessing there might be, or there might be a hefty fine, or maybe even a suspension. Something has to happen here. There's got to be some kind of repercussions for this, because you can't just go around putting your fucking hands on people. That's not how that works. There's got to be some sort of ramification for this behavior, because it's inexcusable and unacceptable. And the coach, I just can't get over what the coach might be thinking and feeling. He's got to be shitting his fucking tights right now. Gotta be shitting. He's got to be so embarrassed and ashamed. Well, let's face it, they didn't train for that. You're in training, you expect to go out there, do what you're supposed to do. You're trained to play a certain way. You're supposed to stick to it. Don't make a fucking ass out of yourself. I mean, it's really disgusting. It's grotesque that grown men act like this. That they let this childish behavior ensue in front of the whole fucking world, not to mention all the thousands in attendance inside the stadiums. I mean, Spartan Stadium and Wolverine Stadium, they're not small stadiums. They're fucking huge. Spartan Stadium is in East Lansing, and it takes up a good chunk of the city, And Wolverine Stadium, Michigan Stadium, it's right in downtown Ann Arbor. Right in the downtown area. I mean, there's a lot of people there, and there's, like I said, all over the world. Millions all over the world watching this shit unfold. And it's like, how can you act so stupid on national, not just in front of all the thousands in attendance at the stadiums, but on national fucking TV? How are you going to act like such an idiot? And it's not just football teams, it's hockey teams too. You get the players who go out there and make just total fools of themselves. You even see this with NASCAR. I don't know if any of you caught this, but there was actually one of the race car drivers was swinging fists through the fucking driver's side of someone else's car. It was pathetic. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? That's not what NASCAR is about. You don't put your fucking hands on fellow race car drivers. What the hell's wrong with you? There's got to be some ramifications for that kind of behavior. I mean, it's unacceptable. Where I come from, we call that having a temper tantrum. For Christ's sake. You can't just put your fucking hands on people. What the hell are you guys thinking? What goes through your mind? Don't you think, well, I'm going to go to jail for this, or I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm just going to do it anyway because I'm mad. So then, deal with your anger, control it, filter it, do something other than use your fists. Speak with your fucking mind, Speak with your words. Fight with your mind and your words, not your fucking fists. There's no reason for it. I don't know. It's silly to me. I can't imagine. I just cannot imagine. And it's costing the sponsorships end up, the sponsors, they end up pulling out because of all the violence, and it's like, this is not what we signed up for. This is not the agreement we had with our contracts and the partnerships and all that. This is not what we agreed to. And really, that's what happens. The sponsors end up pulling out. Then you have zero sponsorship. Well, I wouldn't say zero, but you have one less sponsor who's going to be, their name or their logo is not going to appear anywhere, have any kind of association with the company or the teams or anything like that. They're going to pull out. They're not going to want jack shit to do with them anymore. It's pitiful. It's really pitiful. I just can't foresee every fucking sport outside of the UFC or the WWE where people not only race cars, throw footballs, hit a baseball with a bat, they slam dunk and dribble a basketball. I can't see them actually making this a normal thing where they just actually beat the fuck out of each other on the court or wherever, whatever sport's being played. I can't see that. Maybe I'm just being naive to the whole thing, but it really is lousy. It's pathetic. I don't know. I think I've spoken my piece on this for the most part. I mean, get it together, guys. You should fucking know better than to behave this way. There's no excuse for it. There's got to be some kind of... I'm sure we're going to hear about it in the days to come. There's got to be some kind of ramification or repercussion. Something, something's got to come of this because they can't get away with doing shit like this. And then, like I said, as I mentioned, the sponsorships are going to end. Maybe. Don't mark my words on that. It's just, a little speculation, but one can only speculate because that's pretty serious. I mean, when you're there to throw a football or dribble a basketball or knock a home run out of the park, we don't expect you to, physically put your fucking hands on somebody. There's rules. There's guidelines. You have to follow them. You cannot be doing this shit. And I'm kind of, I'm embarrassed by the Spartans. So they lost a game and then they're going to beat the shit out of their opponents. I mean, come on, guys. You know better than this. I mean, it makes your team look very, very disgraceful. It makes you as an individual look like a fucking pouty ass crybaby because you lost a game. Well, too bad, so sad. Go slice pizzas at Hungry Howie's. Get off the fucking field. Get out of the fucking gym. Get out of the fucking locker room. Go and do something else worthwhile. Because this isn't working out for you. But anyway, guys, that's about all I have to say about that. My name is Jared Fuller, a.k.a. the Jer Bear. I will be on later for the Sunday video update at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. I hope you'll join me, and I hope you'll behave yourselves in the chat rooms. Until such time, as always, toodaloo!